Dreaming of a family adventure? Loganair has you covered with our Kids Fly Fare Free offer. Start planning today. Limited time offer booked by 9th July. T's and C's apply. Children aged 11 and under eligible and must fly with full fare paying accompanying adults. Book today at loganair.co.uk. Loganair, your journey, our joy.
Gregory. Yes, sir. Good morning to you. No, take your time there. Come here, how are you? Go on the headphones.
Yes. How are you getting on? Welcome back, Lee.
Oh, thanks very much. Nice to be back.
Did you have a nice break?
I did have a lovely little break. It was great. And you're looking very colourful. You know, you got the sun.
Yes, we've all covered that. We did all that last Monday.
Come here, what about the garden party?
Oh, yes, we're going
What's
down.
the crack? Can you not sneak me in?
I can.
We could have the
It's
crack.
not quite as exclusive as you might think.
Oh, no, you're going and Jimmy and Paul's going?
No, one of them is.
Just one of them?
Yeah, it's like Ant and Dec. I don't know which one it is.
Oh,
though.
no. You can't ask the
one.
one.
I think it's the shorter one that's going.
Who's the shorter one?
Don't know. Can't tell them apart.
God, you tell me half stories.
It's like Ant and Dec. I can never remember which one's Anthony, which one's
Do they
Declan.
draw stars for that? They should come on to your programme, Draw Stars. Come here. It's going to be good then. Wednesday, is it?
I think so. We'll drive up and drive back down.
So it's a garden? What happened?
It's to celebrate Irish music, and we're involved with the Irish Music Month. Of
course,
so it's not a personal invite to me, it's the station. So,
lovely. Yeah. That's great.
So it's a bit of crack.
So is it like a 3 p.m. thing, is it? Or what?
5 to 9.
Right.
Yeah.
Big dinner?
Don't think so.
Cocktail sausage?
Maybe. I don't know.
Be great to see what kind of food's at it.
I would hope prawn sandwiches. It's Irish Nook they're on.
All right, okay. Oh, very. No, maybe. I don't know. You're a fisherman. You know all about the fish.
Well, as many around me would say I'm not a fisherman.
Can't wait now to talk to you on Thursday for the crack.
Oh, you'll get all the goss.
Oh, look at it, boy. All right. You have a good show.
Better go. It's a minute past 9. Take care, Leo.
Bye-bye.
Lee Gooch back with you tomorrow morning at 6:30. Yes, it is a minute past 9. Let's get that news update. And it is over to Donna Marie Doherty.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. The two final municipal district, Caherly and Lascaherly, will be appointed to Donegal County Council this afternoon. It will be in the Letterkenny Milford MD and the Inishowen MD. So far, Sinn Féin has claimed the top seats. Those meetings will get underway at 2 o'clock this afternoon. A South Donegal deputy is calling on Aer Lingus and IALPA to resolve the ongoing pay dispute. Pilots will find out today if their demands will be met at Labour court talks with the airline. It follows an 8-hour strike on Saturday, with fears of further flight cancellations if negotiations fail to find a resolution. The Taoiseach Simon Harris has called on IALPA and management to sit down and sort out the dispute. Sinn Féin's transport spokesperson, Deputy Martin Kenny, says it's essential that the row is dissolved.
I think, it's also vital, of course, that we have good industrial relations and that both sides come to the table with a sense of generosity and a spirit of trying to resolve this issue. And that needs to happen today, hopefully, or certainly before the end of the week, because we can't have this situation. It's like a dark cloud hanging over the whole country.
The cost of household recycling bin collections could be on the way up after waste collection companies warned they may take the action to make up for the loss of plastic bottles and drinks cans to the deposit return scheme. They say the bottles and cans are the most valuable items in household green bins, and they're losing millions of euro in sales to manufacturers since the scheme began. According to a report in the Irish Independent, it's understood waste companies are concerned that they could lose up to €15 million a year. A new programme is being launched to support Gaeltacht women with goals in business. It's under the Empower programme in partnership with Údarás na Gaeltachta. Information sessions are to take place tomorrow in Gweedore, and Maria Staunton, coordinator of Empower, says the programme will have a focus on networking.
A lot of women, they're very highly skilled, highly educated, but some of it is just lacking a little bit of confidence. And so allowing those to come into the room and to develop peer networks, I guess, is a big one. So they come in and they meet other women in a similar situation. And then what happens when they go through we have two different programs. When they go through the programs, they may join in Women in Business in Donegal, and then they expand perhaps into the chambers and more mixed groups and stuff like that. So it just gives them a little bit of confidence, bit of peer support, just to get them started and going.
More information on this can be found on our website highlandradio.com. Looking now to weather, mostly cloudy at first today with outbreaks of rain and drizzle along with patchy mist and fog, and that's with highs of 14 to 17 degrees. That's all for now from Highland Radio News. Back with more at 10 o'clock.
We'll wait for the bus, the train or the lights to turn green. We'll wait for the weekend and we'll wait for the rain to stop. But when it comes to pain, nobody wants to wait. That's why Nurofen Rapid Relief liquid capsules start working in just 7 minutes, with a formula that's absorbed faster than standard ibuprofen tablets. Choose Nurofen Rapid Relief liquid capsules and unleash the speed of liquid. Nurofen Rapid Relief maximum strength 400mg liquid capsules contain ibuprofen. For mild to moderate pain, always read the label.
And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest. The 9 Til Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello and a very good morning to you. You welcome along to another week of the 9 Til Noon Show on your number one local radio station. This is Highland Radio and it's 5 minutes past 9 on this, the 1st of July. Wow, just glanced at the phone, didn't realise we're into July already. For obvious reasons, you wouldn't know it was July, would you? But we are here all month and here for the next 3 hours as well. You can get involved in the conversation, trigger your own by WhatsApp or texting 086 60 25,000, 086 60 25,000. You can send your WhatsApp voice notes, that message too, if that suits you a little bit better. If you want to give us a call, 07491 25,000 is how you get through to us. And also you can email comments at highlandradio.com and feel free to watch the programme if it suits you. If you're at home, you can fire up the smart TV, open the YouTube app, type in Highland Radio Ireland, and also on your Fire Stick. And we are also across Facebook, Highland Hub, News and Sport, and around the world on the X platform. Right, let's see what's making the front pages. But, let's go to the back page of the Donegal News because it was a big weekend for lots and lots of people. I saw loads of people manage to, I think it was a bit of a stroke of luck for many people who were lucky enough to get Taylor Swift tickets on Saturday night. And then also able to head along to Croke Park to watch Donegal win and then head up the road. I would say it was a fantastic weekend for many people out there today. But Donegal manager Jim McGuinness says his team will relish an All-Ireland semi-final clash with Galway. For the 4th time in 5 attempts, McGuinness has led Donegal to the last 4 of the All-Ireland Senior Football Championship. If you were at the game or watched the game, let us know what you thought or listen to it for that matter. Brendan Devaney, as always, on a Monday will be in later on to discuss all things GEA. But when you look at what this team has achieved this year and then you look back to when the last time it happened or the last time we had this level of success and you see who was the manager then, it really just does point to Jim McGuinness having the Midas touch. The county hasn't reached this stage in 10 years, but they booked their spot with an emphatic 123 to 118 triumph against Louth 123 to 18-point triumph against Louth on Sunday. It was a fine win for Donegal, and their prize now is a clash with Galway, who caused a huge surprise by dumping All-Ireland champions Dublin out of the race for Sam Maguire on Saturday. I don't think it was that big a surprise. I think Galway a good outfit, Dublin not firing on all cylinders, and that's not to take away from what Galway achieved. I think that was the best game of the weekend. The other 3 didn't really, weren't terribly entertaining. Dublin and particularly Kerry, really boring to watch at times. But I don't watch the Sunday game or any of those. I don't watch much of the analysis either. But I think that Donegal, beg your pardon, the other D, Dublin or Kerry didn't get the criticism that an Ulster team might get for the time of a game they play. Kerry, in a traditional Ulster football sense, could be playing in the Ulster Championship with the way they played yesterday. But it was heartbreak for you Derry fans out there as well. McGuinness is pals with Galway manager Pádraig Joyce from their Trilly IT days, and the Glenties man was videoed taking a training session with the tribesmen back in 2020. However, he's now back as Donegal manager and will lead his county back to Croke Park in a fortnight's time. No fixture details were released at the time of going to print, but the semi-final will take place on either Saturday, June 13th or Sunday, July 14th. Sorry, that should be July 13th there. It is on the Saturday, July 13th. What time it is, I don't know. I didn't see that, but it's definitely on the Saturday. On to the Derry news now, and tens of thousands of people flocked to Derry's Quay to enjoy the fun at the Foyle Maritime Festival. Despite the rain, the weather didn't dampen spirits as the 4-day festival proved to be a massive success once again. After a damp start on Thursday, the sun decided to finally make an appearance on Friday, bringing the fair weather visitors with it in their droves to enjoy the packed programme of water taster sessions. An awful lot went on over the weekend, of course, locally as well. I wasn't there, but I heard that the Donegal Town Summer Festival was a huge success. They moved the stage down onto the quay down there, and apparently it was a fantastic weekend. Well done to all involved in organising that. On to the Irish Independent, and this was as inevitable as night follows day. Waste collection companies have warned they may increase prices for recycling bin collections to make up for the loss of plastic bottles and drinks cans to the deposit return scheme. They say the bottles and cans are the most valuable items in household green bins, and they're losing millions of euro in sales of these to manufacturers since the DRS began. Aluminium cans, which can be recycled indefinitely, are worth 800 to 1400 a tonne on the recycle materials market. PET plastics, which is used in beverage bottles, lose quality the more it's recycled, so it's worth less, but at around 500 a tonne, it's still a valuable material. It's understood that waste companies are concerned about losing up to 15 million a year in this way. Again, I'm thinking of particularly those of you out there who were very keen recyclers. You would happily put it into your bin, no problem, made sure that it was done all correctly and what have you. Now you have to take your plastic bottles and cans to a machine in your local shop, and you're going to be hit with more recycling at home costs. How does that make sense? Make it make sense. The Irish Times, French far right on course to take power. Big shock, big gamble by President Macron in France, and it has royally backfired in his face. The far right is on course to become the biggest force in French politics in a major political defeat for French President Emmanuel Macron, following the first of 2 rounds of voting in parliamentary elections. Exit polls in France show National Rally, the anti-immigration Eurosceptic party of Marine Le Pen, won 34% of the vote in the first round of snap elections called by Mr. Macron. He didn't have to; he just chose to. He thought his logic was that the far right parties, which they call themselves in France, it's not a slur as such. That they'd done very well in the European election. So he thought, right, I'm going to call a national election now, and the French public will be so aghast that this style of politics might be taking over that they'll come out in droves and vote for the centre-left parties. That didn't happen. They came out, they topped the poll, they added many, many more votes than they had 2 years ago. And if you listen to the French people speaking in French, and obviously through a translator, you listen to the Vox Pops where people are asked questions on the street, effectively, everything they say is what people say here. It's funny how no matter what the language is or where it is, that the issues generally remain the same. A lot of it is along the lines of France is a very welcoming country. We'll do our bit if people are fleeing war, but there's an awful lot of single men or men on their own coming into France. They're concerned about that. They're concerned too about Islam and the impact it might have. A lot of the same conversations that you hear here are happening in France, but they have a party that they can vote for, and they have in massive numbers. I'm not sure really there's such a party here. There are individuals and maybe a loose collective, but certainly not a party like Marine Le Pen to vote for. So as I say, it's backfired now. It's got to the stage now where those in the left and far left of politics, and the far left apparently are as scary as the far right, according to Macron, they're going to have to try and pull out candidates in certain areas with a view to blocking the far right's progression. So this is the terminology they use themselves, by the way. Mr. Macron, as I mentioned, called the snap election. But if the results are repeated in the second runoff round of voting on Sunday, July 7th, in the likely outcome would be a hung parliament or a far-right government that would upend the French political system. They're banning those, the far-right party would be banning the use of those, wearing those in public, a crackdown on Islam. It is Islam, isn't it? Sorry, I have to double check that now. This is what they're promising anyway, and tighter border controls with fellow European countries. On to the Irish Daily Mail now. And more than a third of patients are malnourished when being admitted to hospital in Ireland, and the level is increasing with the elderly and cancer patients most at risk. So they are malnourished, so they're not getting the right amount of food and goodness into them. A third of patients turning up at hospital. Isn't this remarkable? Or when I say not turning up at hospital, actually being admitted to hospital. A new survey with data from 3,662 patients across 26 public hospitals across the country found an increase in hospital admissions. Malnutrition to 34%, up from 28% in 2010. The Irish Society for Clinical Nutrition and Metabolism is calling for malnutrition screening to be expanded to other clinical settings, especially for cancer patients and frail older people. Report co-author and IRSPEN director Niamh Rice said the survey identified two major reasons for the rise in patients with risk factors for malnutrition. She said the first is an increase in the age demographic of patients presenting at hospital, with older people more likely to be malnourished. And secondly, a higher incidence of cancer, resulting in more cancer patients within the general hospital population, with this patient cohort also more likely to suffer nutritional problems, resulting in malnutrition. Let us see now. We'll go to the Irish Daily Star. New figures have revealed that the total number of teachers and special needs assistants who've had to take leave from work due to being assaulted has almost trebled in the last 5 years. They also show each violent incident in schools in 2023 led to a member of teaching staff taking an average of 18 days off work. Last year, a total of 412 teaching staff availed of a scheme supported by the Department of Education for teachers and SNAs unable to perform their duties due to physical injuries from an assault. The figures also show that violent incidences in schools predominantly affect SNAs at primary level. Teaching staff forced to take leave last year consisted of 301 SNAs and 111 teachers, with all but 8 assaults occurring to staff in primary school, which is quite an interesting statistic. The level of assaults on staff was up 58% on the 260 cases recorded the previous year, and almost treble the pre-pandemic total in 2019 of 144. So I wonder what is leading to this increase. The amount of assaults in the school setting are predominantly against special needs assistants, and also in primary school. All but 8 of all of those cases in primary school. And on average, a teacher availed of 18, or an SNA availed of 18 days off following the assault. New survey out over the weekend. Fine Gael is the most popular party in the country for the first time in 3 years. Taoiseach Simon Harris's party dropped 1 point to 21% in the latest Business Post Red Sea study. But with Sinn Féin down to 20%, it is the first time since June 2021 Fine Gael has topped a national poll. The plummeting popularity for Mayor Lou McDonald's side is partly due to a continuing loss of support from would-be voters aged 18 to 24, down from 27% to 24% since May. The backing from those aged 55 and over has also fallen by 6 points, from 20% to 14%. There was also a small drop in Sinn Féin support from the working class, down 1 point to 26%. Fianna Fáil saw the biggest gain from the poll, gaining 4 points to sit on 19%. There's not much in between any of the three parties, according to those opinion polls, which sometimes appears like information just plucked from the sky, but there is a consistent trend there. Lastly, in the Irish Daily Mirror, Jay Slater, this is the young lad that's missing at Foreign. A lot of you keeping track of this story. It's crazy when you see some of the social media stuff, people literally believing they're investigators, but I suppose to some extent they are. Jay Slater's distraught family have vowed to keep hunting for the teenager until he's found after Spanish police called off the search yesterday, and they have been urged to bring in a separate team of experts to try to locate the apprentice bricklayer who disappeared a fortnight ago. The family is said to be devastated and heartbroken by the decision to stop the search. It was funny, not funny like funny haha, but just peculiar. I couldn't figure it out when they announced this search was taking place, a massive search, and the start point and the time, and 12 people turned up. Rachel Hargreaves is a close friend of 19-year-old Jay's mum, Debbie Duncan, 55, and dad, Warren Slater, 58, and is in Tenerife to help. Her son, Brad, 19, who was on holiday with Jay and another pal, Lucy Law, said on Friday he saw his friend slip on some rocks during a video call as Jay walked home from a night out on the morning June 7th, the day he'd vanished. But you'd imagine they know his phone was with him, that I thought you could triangulate stuff nowadays, maybe sign into his Google account and see where the last place the phone pinged from. You'd imagine with that kind of evidence, it shouldn't be hard to locate where he is, but still the search is ongoing. Right, anything in that caught your ear? Let us know. 086 60 25,000. That's the WhatsApp and text number.
Daily newspapers are courtesy of Kelly Centra and Diner, Mountaintop Letterkenny, winner of Best Family Dining at the Highland Radio Hospitality Awards. The 9 Til Noon Show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Experience total relaxation in the Spa at Orchids at the Holyrood Hotel, Bundoran. Recently awarded Best Hotel Spa Getaway at the RSVP Spa Awards. Enjoy luxury spa baths, revitalising facials, rejuvenating massages, pampering body treatments, outdoor hot tub and tranquil Japanese garden. Visit on a luxury spa day, pop in for some me time or buy the perfect present with a gift voucher. Relax and let the Spa at Orchids transport you to another world. See holyroodhotel.com.
Morning sickness can be really tiring and unpleasant. For some, it can last all day, morning, noon and night. Eating small, regular meals and keeping hydrated will help. Visit mychild.ie for advice on pregnancy, baby and toddler health.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is
21 minutes past 9. We're joined on the programme now by Deputy Thomas Pringle. Good morning, Thomas. How are you getting on?
Morning, Greg. How are you doing? Are you well?
Good. I'm doing fine, thanks, Thomas. You've been highlighting the situation for the 10,000 plus unpaid carers in Donegal. So when we talk about carers, and a lot of this information, I presume, comes from the CSO and stuff. So how are we categorising carers in this context?
Well, basically, and the unpaid carers section would be family members who would be looking after members of their own family and keeping them out of hospital and out of nursing homes and stuff like that there, and doing it in a totally unpaid way, and that they're it's very difficult for families, but families feel that it's something that they have to do, and I think they embrace it as their responsibility, and they're willing to do it. But I think we need to provide an awful lot more support for people, and we need to be able to let people live as well as caring for their loved ones.
The statutory home care scheme is there. Do you think it misses the target though?
Well, the government are dragging their heels on actually implementing it.
That's not in yet. Sorry, my apologies.
No, you're okay, Greg. No bother at all. And they're actually there's a commitment in the programme for government that they would introduce a statutory home care scheme, and that they would financially support home carers and the provide home care for people. So to prevent a lot of people from ending up maybe prematurely in nursing homes and that there as well. And I think a lot of the residents of nursing homes could be living at home happily if they were getting the right supports. And I think that would be the best use of their life as such, I suppose, and also the best use for society. Well, nursing homes, I believe, do have a role to play. I don't believe it should be somewhere that people should go just because they don't have a family member to look after them or something like that there, or family members aren't able to look after them. I think it should be somewhere where people go for the end of life care, rather than maybe end up living in nursing homes for long periods of time. People would be better off in their own communities and managing at home or in some sort of, maybe not full nursing home care, but some sort of step-down facility as well, where they could get support but actually live independently too. I think that would be vitally important, and that's something as a society we should be striving to achieve.
And even creating accommodation that suits that. We really should. I suspect we're going to need much more of this into the future as people live longer, but also as home ownership. At the moment, we're talking about people in their 30s or 40s unable to own a home. but they're going to be 60, 70 and 80 or 70, 80 and 90 into the future without a home, and they'll need somewhere to stay. We really should be at this point planning for that future, I think, in terms of the type of accommodation that we're developing.
Yeah, I think so. And we also would have a lot of people living in houses maybe bigger than their needs would be as well. And if people could maybe be supported in their own community and living maybe in some sort of sheltered accommodation or some accommodation that has some supports available to them, that would make an awful lot of difference. And that would also then move to maybe make those other houses available for people with families and stuff like that might need them too. And I think that would be a better result and a better outcome for elderly people to be living in their own communities and with the support of people that they know, and living independently for as long as possible, because that makes a better quality of life for everybody. I think, but we need government to commit to that, and we need to make sure that there is a statutory scheme available and that is funded and there's support for that as well, and that's what's vitally important. Because when you consider that there is 10,700 unpaid carers in the county, as you said, and even 139 of those are under 15 years of age. And really, in the society that we live in, do we want 15-year-olds, 14 and 15-year-olds to be looking after maybe elderly parents or grandparents as well?
And there's an awful lot of those people as well who we will care for our family. Of course, they're our family. But there's an awful lot of pressure to pay bills and what have you. A lot of those carers too are having to make sacrifices in relation to their work life or what have you, or even their social life for that matter. And they provide a huge value to the state because this is obviously care that the state would have to provide if the families weren't there to do so. But that value is not sort of, I don't think many would feel that value is not sort of recognised or acknowledged even.
No, and that is a problem. Like we've got a huge store on getting as many people out to work as we possibly can, and couples, and everybody should be working and stuff like that there. But actually, the work that goes unseen and the work that actually probably maybe allows our society to function and stuff like that there as well is unpaid carers at home who are actually looking after elderly patients and looking after elderly people. And the states, we should be, as a society, we should be supporting them. We should be supporting them fully, and that as a combination of things. I mean, some people, and rightly so, might choose that this is what they want to do to look after their loved ones, and they should be supported. It shouldn't be a penalty for them to do that, and we should be making sure that support is there for them. But we should also be making sure that there is home support workers and home care workers available then to those who maybe mightn't be in that position, and people shouldn't feel guilty or feel any sense of responsibility if they're not in a position to be able to do that, because with mortgages and stuff like that there, as they are so expensive now, people simply can't afford it as well, and that's something that the state has to step up the mark on.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, thanks very much for that. That's Independent Deputy Thomas Pringle. If you have a view on that, let us know. 086 60 25,000. To some of your texts now. A caller ringing in to say she drove down Letterkenny Main Street and only saw 2 Donegal flags the whole way from the top to the bottom. She said if you go to other smaller towns like Glenties or Ardra, the places are filled with flags, and that Letterkenny should be doing more to support the team. Fair enough criticism. What do you think? I haven't been through Letterkenny recently. 086 60 25,000. We had an awful lot of texts at the weekend, on Friday, which was supposed is the weekend, in relation to conversations had on the Friday panel. And I do commit to read as many of them as is possible. So I want to catch up on some of those. Much of the conversation was about abuse, violence, sentencing. As you can imagine, that story is still very much in the headlines. Some of your messages here. Ireland needs a zero-tolerance approach to all abuse by all genders in law and in our culture too. Presently, there are no consequences in law for the psychological abuse of parental alienation and minimal ones for false allegations too. False allegations, you can end up in jail for that, but I take your point. A judge was questioned about a sentence he handed down. His answer was courts are courts of law, not courts of justice. What about the Limerick hurler? He pleaded not guilty and fought the case all the way. Then he brought in his manager to influence the judge. Yeah, a lot of people highlighted highlighted the issue they have with, letters of recommendation or support being considered by the courts. Let's see. If he wasn't in the army, what sentence would he have received? His sentence is an open door to other men to do the same thing. There's many people who aren't in the army who also get suspended sentences. I think it was the violence and the boasting of this Crotty's crime that has angered people. I don't really think there's no guarantee he would have got a custodial sentence if not in the army. What about personal ownership of behaviour? I know when I took up my job nursing, I knew that if I got involved in any situation where I committed offence, I knew I could lose my job. This didn't seem to enter the soldier's mind, and the sentence has proven he was right. As a Donegal man who spent time in jail, I think jail is the answer. I can assure you, my time in jail taught me to be a model citizen, but in my time there, I met people who practically lived their life in there. They got used to the system and got fed and had a roof over their head. Yeah, there's definitely something to that. Every person who offends for a second time needs to face an automatic doubling of sentence, but the way suspended sentences work is if you offend a second time, you actually get the first sentence. And other judges have minimal training and, yes, need psychological training in all abuse and violent situations. How can they judge whether a false allegation is evident or not when a complex case of child abuse or parental alienation is at play? There was another guy let off yesterday too. That was on Thursday because he was a former football star. It's a joke, says a listener. Why is there no one talking about the men with this boy who did nothing to stop him? Will they be charged? Where were the men she was standing up for? Why didn't they intervene for her in the way she did for them? I'm not really sure of the geography of where people were at that time. Let me see. Hi, Greg. I'm all for helping people that are fleeing war and poverty, but there are a huge amount of people, mostly young men from Brazil, Albania, Algeria, Nigeria, Romania, to mention a few, that are not fleeing war. They're coming here to get free education, dole, and all that entails. Lisa Chambers, who was on our show on Friday, needs to come down from her ivory tower and see what normal housing estates, etc. are like. Well, give us more of an insight. Let us know. Back to the Crotty case, it was the boasting of what he did, a real Jack the Lad. He deserves jail. What I don't understand is why the DPP is not appealing the case. Another caller says, this country is in a worse situation than the UK. At least the UK government can be held accountable for their mismanagement at the next election. The EU can't, and our government just go along with the EU without question. That's actually quite an interesting point when you think about it, because at this stage now, with the EU Migration Pact being brought in, a lot of the blame focuses on Europe, and we can't really directly influence that, which is quite interesting. I suppose you can if you elect enough MEPs, which actually a lot of MEPs who might be opposed to some of these moves were elected. If Fine Gael MEPs vote for Ursula von der Leyen, it makes a mockery of Ireland recognising the state of Palestine. They are essentially endorsing her support for the apartheid state of Israel and its ongoing attempts to ethnic cleanse. They should be representing the clear view of the Irish people that the ongoing genocide has to be stopped. But it's right out in the open. They've said the more Irish MEPs that back Ursula von der Leyen when they get a vote in a few weeks, the better chance it is for one person, Michael McGrath, to get a better job. I do find that quite head-scratching, but it is a reality. A caller says, has Pride become too commercialised? I've been looking at the Pride celebrations across Ireland, like the St. Patrick's Day parade. It's become too alcohol-centralised instead of about Pride itself. I don't know. I'll throw it out to the audience, see what you think. Great result for Donegal yesterday, Greg, but at 45 a ticket, $6.60 for a pint of Guinness or $7.10 for Rockshore. It's no wonder the place was half empty. $1.80 for a packet of Tato. Ridiculous prices. €35 would be more than enough for a quarter-final ticket. Wonder how much they're going to shaft people for the semi-finals, Noel. Well, Noel, I think it was a sellout, was it not? Or very close to it. Obviously, you had Derry Kerry fans that wouldn't have turned up for the Donegal game, and also I know a lot of people did stay for the Derry Kerry game, at least for 3/4 of it, but not many may have, or not all would have. So Croke Park's going to look half empty at times, isn't it? It does seem